the church is going to die, again, if they don't find a way to portray him the way he was historically known to be. If you look at the history facts of Jesus, which I think favor Christianity in this weird way, that dude is not the dude y'all have turned him into. Y'all have Americanized Jesus and used him as a way of not only propaganda, but you've weaponized God. That was the opposite of who Jesus was. The same people that you are criticizing and going against are the only people that Jesus had a relationship with in the Bible. He did nothing but protect town whores, prostitutes, people in jail. Like the famous story, let he who without sin cast his first stone. He was protecting a prostitute. It's crazy. It's like, man, that's the opposite of what that dude was doing. So that's my problem with the church. It's like, even if we just go by the 4 books that y'all call the only 4 accounts of him, this dude ran around with 12 thugs. If he was here today, he'd be on a fucking Harley.
Now, fans of the Slick and Thick podcast will know that I have thoughts on this, and we went 90 minutes of sparring with our good friend Ruslan over this very topic.
You did.
So, before I get on my soapbox, let me open it up to you, Candice. What are your thoughts on that clip?
I mean, hallelujah, jelly roll. You know what I mean? I have the same qualms. It's in all of the books, is basically ignoring the splinter in your eye while pointing out the plank in someone else's, or ignoring the plank in your eye and pointing out the splinter in someone else's, something along those lines. And it's essentially that none of us are perfect. It's not your job to be judgmental. It's your job to love, to have compassion, empathy for your fellow man. It's in the Bible that obviously he was homeboys with Mary Magdalene, who was said to be a prostitute. And now you have these right-wing influencers like Candace Owens, and she goes on the Whatever podcast, and she's like, I'm fascinated by hoes. And she's just so condescending. And it's like, was that really Christian of you? Is that Christ-like to talk to someone like that because you're so perfect?
So my thoughts on it are pretty blasphemous and heretical.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so I think Jesus not as the Son of God is more interesting than Jesus as the Son of God. The fact that this could be the bastard son of a woman who was raped by an occupying soldier.
You're talking about the Pantera.
What?
You never heard the Pantera theory?
Pantera?
No.
Yeah, so
Liturgy.
So not only it dates back to the times of Jesus' death. There's Greek historians who are able to, this is the most heretical thing you can say in the Christian religion, is this idea
Super
of
blasphemous.
Yeah, of Tiberius Pantera, the soldier, German Syrian soldier who raped at that time probably a 12-year-old Mary, who gave birth at 13 years old to Yeshua, and that's Jesus. And then there was a huge
it kind of gives for the Immaculate Conception.
Yeah,
it kind of gives a more realistic, so to speak.
There's so much.
Well, that actually isn't what it means.
No, it's the Immaculate Conception is Mary, not Jesus.
No.
What?
Yeah. So Mary,
Mary having having sex
it's
and
not.
having
It's not a virgin birth.
she was born without. It's her. She was born without sin or something like that. That's
it's someone without sin.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's
That's
not a
news to me.
virgin.
Mary was she was had this guy Joseph. They didn't have sex or whatever. Now she's pregnant. Joseph, the whole thing with Joseph stayed with her, which made him such a great man because he believed her. Mm-hmm. And in modern day, it kind of, what I mean? It's a little sketchy. But what is your guys' take on it? Because I only heard that she was the virgin mother of.
Yeah, she was. It's two different things. So I forget what video I was watching, but they were saying that the Immaculate Conception was that she was without sin, and then there was also a virgin birth. But those things are not the same thing.
I thought it was that she didn't have sex. God put Jesus in her. By magic.
Yes.
So
that is a thing, or is not?
That is a thing.
So
what were we disagreeing with?
That the term Immaculate Conception isn't referring to the virgin birth; it's referring to her being without sin.
But to your point, Mick, it's been co-opted
it
as
only
only
made sense
virgin
to me
birth.
that it's it was immaculate that she was able to conceive.
That's what I thought too. And then there was someone that did an art gallery, and they were kind of they were making fun of Christianity and the absurdity of a virgin birth. And then someone like a religious scholar came in and they said the Immaculate Conception is not the virgin birth. Like there was the virgin birth element, but that was its own thing. The Immaculate Conception was actually the idea that Mary was without sin, so that no human was without sin back then, and that was what was so profound. So they're two different things. They both are
she
part
was
of the
immaculate.
religion.
Like her record,
Right.
she had not sinned.
Yes.
Interesting.
100-0. Undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, I'm a history guy. I'm a history nerd. You guys know that. Understanding the history of the situation. What Jelly Roll is talking about, just to get back to the clip, I empathize with, all right? And here in America specifically, you talked about the Puritans, right?
Right.
They came over
What did
here.
I call them, Quakers before?
Yeah.
I had such a brain fart.
But the Quakers
Yeah.
came over here too, and then basically because this is all fallout from the Reformation in England, and they're like, no, this isn't, you guys aren't taking, Christ seriously. We need to live a more, pristine life, and and we have to go over there to do it. So basically, these guys were stuck up. They were so stuck up that Britain was like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like, go somewhere else if you want to do that crap. So they came here, and Plymouth Rock, and so all religion has a political aspect to it. The Council of Nicaea, where they picked which books went into,
Right,
that's a treaty between Eastern Rome and Western Rome, essentially, right? They just co-opted the old pagan holidays. Happy Merry Christmas coming up, by the way. And they took this idea of folding in these rebels who had this messianic destiny that they were trying to fulfill. When Rome, and if you're still seeing it today with what's happening in Israel and Gaza, you're seeing these same prophecies being promulgated. Like this is the coming of the chosen one. When the religious lands, when the holy lands are occupied, that's when the Son of God will return. So Jesus wasn't the only one. People thought John the Baptist was the coming of it, and then everybody knew the end of that is martyrdom. So John the Baptist was like, yeah, no, this guy. You guys should get behind this guy. That's your guy right there. And that's so it's all very much been used as a political thing. So give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Then Jesus said that after he flipped over the table. There's just no way. So Jelly Roll, I feel you. I love you, bro. And I'm telling you, I say all this. People always think I'm ripping on Christians. I like Christians. I like people who live a good moral code. But I don't like the idea that they look at God as Sky Cop, looking down on everybody, trying to bust somebody, or like he's the bouncer outside of,
And I feel like that was what Jelly Roll was disagreeing with.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with his the way he assessed the
Oh, I
situation.
thought you were saying I love you, brother, but.
No. I get
Gotcha.
exactly. Now, Jelly Roll, for people that don't know, has lived a tough life. He is not without sin, and he probably takes it very seriously when people cast those stones because of who his wife was in a past life and all this other stuff. So it's very personal to him. And they've both turned their life around, and now I get all that. And the judgmental aspect, people, no matter how you grow into your 40s, if you fucked up in your teens and your 20s, people hold it over you forever, So I get that. But I don't think of God as some bouncer outside the club going, hey, bro, sorry, can't let you in. You jerked off 14,241 times and you ate meat on 2 Fridays, so back in the line. I don't think that's how it works.
No.
But I do think that's how holier than thou judgmental people use that to then make other people feel less than or
I do think
other.
a lot of religion is kind of that holier than thou thing. Where it is
Piety.
a judgmental thing. It's like you feel like you're better than, you know what I mean? You use the rules of these books to kind of feel better than in any religion, not just Christianity.
Especially
You know what I mean?
woke. And woke's a religion, and don't tell me it's not.
It's the same. Yeah, it's the same shit.
Yeah. But, I guess the problem now becomes there's good to them too. But there's those bad actors make you think of every Christian as having some sort of
Well, people are just people, right? So I think everyone's using a different way to compare themselves to someone else, and then that's just a lot of ego is what you're saying. So I'm doing this, so I'm better than you. So people do that with religion, people do it with money, they do it with status, they do it with whatever.
It is an inherently human thing to want to feel better than. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure.
Like a lot of you see that a lot. People think they could, if they were in your shoes, they'd do a better job of your life. Or if I had what he had, I'd do blah blah blah. You know what I mean? That everyone's living their own life.
Do you well, first let's say this. Do you believe in God?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Do you have a religion that you follow?
No.
Do you have a religion that you follow?
Grew up Roman Catholic. You know, I strayed away a little bit and just kind of started letting a lot of things in. But I'm not like, you know, I'm trying to get that part of my life back. You know, because I think there's really something nice in that. You know what I mean? Like there's really I'm almost envious of people who are, you know, have that really tight connection with God. Not, you know, I kind of I'm working on mine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think that there's comfort in the cultural connections, in the seasons of life, you know, and hey, you're getting your baptism, you're getting your communion, there's kind of these checkpoints along the way, you know.
My beef has always just been if you're going to tell me emphatically this happens when you die, I got to be like, you're bullshit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can tell me what you think might happen, but if you're going to tell me this is for sure, this, and this, that's going to make me kind of question everything. You know what I mean? And that's what happened to me. And, you know, I just think if you're, you know, anyone who's saying that's kind of, it seems like it's a bullshit artist.
I also, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Yeah, holier than thou,
let me
devil's
play
advocate.
Devil's advocate for a second. I think there's a very anti-Judeo-Christian movement in the country. There's a very anti-founding movement in our kind of elite institutions and in our media specifically. So I personally believe it's a little bit of either misinformation, psyop, whatever word you want to use, that the only Christians that they put out in the media are the people that are coming after somebody like Jelly Roll, where like you have your people who are either scammers or they're these judgmental, you know, human beings, where most other, you know, people, they either keep to themselves, or their religion is kept to themselves, or it's a big part of the pillars of their success.
So you think that they're trying to make Christians look more judgmental than they are?
Absolutely.
No, false. So I disagree entirely. So you have obviously Candace Owens, who has her own platform. No one's making her do anything. She's very much does whatever she wants. And then you look at someone like a creator like Russell Brand, and he did a clip the other day, and it was kind of, it was just like a call for people to just be better, to do better, to be less judgmental, and he dared to put Jesus and the Buddha in the same sentence, and the Christians came out. They came out in droves. So maybe they're bots. I'll give you that. Maybe they're bots. I have no idea. But the whole comment section were all of these Christians saying like, how dare you? The Buddha is fake. There's only one son of God. And they just got really, what's the word? Like
defensive? Aggressive?
Not defensive. Like it's like they're like idealistic, right? It's like that is the only perspective, and not understanding that there's
like
other
narrow-minded.
Yes, they're like there's this Ricky Gervais bit, and he's atheist and he's openly atheist, and he says something along the lines of when he has an argument with someone who's very Christian or very Jewish or you know
But he doesn't ever talk about it. Anybody who's very Muslim.
And he said that there's what 2,000 religions in the world, something like that. So I believe in one less God than you do. So it's not that ridiculous. Like your God is the only God, right? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, okay, well I believe in one less God than you do.
So, but there are about 3,000 to choose from that have been, you know, people who believe in.
I've done some reading, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So basically, you believe in you deny one less God than I do. You don't believe in 2,999 gods, and I don't believe in just one more.
Right.
Yeah, and again, my issue is nothing, and I tend to agree with most things Ricky Gervais says, but I do think it's, you know, it's open season on Christians all the time. And it's not open season on Jews all the time. People say something about Jews and they lose their job immediately. We've seen that in the last couple things. It's never, nobody ever talks about Muslims. That's still a third rail. So
well, that's because there's a real threat there. I don't think it's self-censorship in the sense of you don't want to get canceled. I think it's you don't want to get killed, and it is a real physical threat. There was this author, and he's very critical of Islam and like a lot of those topics, and he got stabbed during a speech in the throat.
We begin with breaking news. Author Salman Rushdie has been attacked and stabbed on stage at an event in Western New York. According to the Associated Press, the author was walking onto a stage in Chautauqua. This is aftermath of what happened. This is in New York and Western New York. Another man attacked the author. Rushdie, best known for his book, The Satanic Verses, which sparked many death threats over the years, including a bounty of over $3 million.
What?
Yeah, so
you don't have to worry about the Christians doing that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like, so now if the Christians want to be left alone, they got to start stabbing people. Like that's like come on.
It's not, obviously not.
What I'm saying is that it's just getting old to me that like yes, we all know Christians can be judgmental. Yes, we know that this is not, but nobody ever talks about any of these other religions. It's always just one, always.
Yeah, because they're like kind of the whipping boy.
Yeah,
they're the ones that they don't do anything about.
Well,
it.
they
come at you in the comments, and then what?
Well, then they're also influencing our politics, though. So that is one aspect.
You don't think the other ones are?
I'm probably not to the same extent. Do you think that they are?
Israel? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
How is Judaism as a religion affecting our politics?
I think it has a remarkable effect on our foreign policy, for sure. I think an insanely outside effect.
I'm talking
on
about the
our foreign
religion.
policy.
I'm not talking about the people or the state of Israel.
I don't know if you could separate the two, can you?
Yeah, because Israel, although it's culturally Jewish, right? And then you have you have a big Jewish population there of over 9 million people, but it's secular. It's not like it is. It's,
How many Christians are in Mossad?
I don't know.
I would
Probably
venture.
not too many.
I would venture to say 3 less than are in this room.
I agree with both you guys, though. I think you both have a point.
Yeah, I'm not. Look, say whatever you want to say. Look, I believe the book says at some point or another, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." So, fucking don't judge. Like that's, at the end of the day, man. I believe it was the prophet Sean Carter who once said, the food you eat don't make me shit."
Yeah, dude.
You know what I'm saying? The food you eat don't make me shit. Whatever you've done in your past, that's you. That's your journey. Whatever. We were talking about Sammy Gravano before this episode, right? And people are like, "What was it like with Sammy Gravano?" Blah blah. And I'm just like, honestly, man, he was like really cool to me. I didn't know any of those other people. Like,
Hey, it happened to kill 20 guys.
What am I supposed to do? He's been cool to me.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to be like? Oh, this guy is.
I will talk to him for his transgressions.
Man, that's your.
And you're missing out. On
that's
you're
your
being
prerogative.
too judge. You're being
I got no
Yeah,
problem.
don't be judgmental. Don't be fucking judgmental. That's something I've heard from a lot of wise people that judged earlier in their life. You know what I mean? And one of the things they learned for sure in their life is not to judge, because you don't, until it's cliche, but until you walked a mile in that person's shoes, like how can you speak on them like that?
I think Delco's forgotten our button here, so I'll put a button on this one.
No, we weren't gonna rock with a button on this one. We went long. We picked some pretty big topics.
I will put a button on this before we move on, and this is my very honest truth about it, because I've been around a lot of different types of people, as we all have, and I think this stems from fear, cowardice, and insecurity. And it's that this person is not who I want my XYZ to be. I don't want my kids looking up to this person. So don't be around that person, because they think it then somehow normalizes that behavior. And my argument to that is always, well, then how come you can't be the good influence with that person? How come you can't be the leader who your son or daughter or whoever can look up to and say, well, that person was the quote unquote bad guy. Everybody needs the bad guy. And my dad or my mom was so cool that he helped change them for the better. Why does it always have to be when you hang out with them, you'll then become bad? How come you can't be so good that they become good? Because it's arrogance and it's cowardice, and to me, it's insecurity.